Do you often save a little extra from dinner, tucking it away in the fridge, thinking you're being wonderfully efficient and practical? Perhaps you've made a big pot of rice or a hearty chicken dish, planning to enjoy it again the next day, saving yourself time and effort. It's a habit many of us have developed over years, a smart way to manage our busy lives and make the most of our groceries. But what if I told you that some of those seemingly innocent leftovers, when reheated, could actually be silently working against your health, potentially causing more than just a bit of indigestion? It's not about being wasteful. It's about understanding a secret that many of us, especially as we get a little older, need to know to truly protect our bodies. You see, the way certain foods change when they're cooked and then reheated can create hidden risks that we often overlook. These aren't just minor inconveniences. They can lead to uncomfortable stomach upsets, more serious food poisoning, and even, over time, contribute to deeper health concerns. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on 5 common foods that many of us reheat without a second thought, but which can become surprisingly dangerous. We'll look at the simple steps you can take to avoid these risks and ensure your meals are always nourishing and safe. Stay with me until the very end, because I'll share a crucial tip that might just surprise you and change the way you look at your kitchen habits forever. Let's dive right into our first food. One that's a staple in many households around the world, often cooked in big batches and saved for later meals. Rice. We love our rice, don't we? It's the perfect accompaniment to so many dishes, from a comforting curry to a quick stir-fry. It's so easy to cook a little extra, thinking we'll have a convenient side dish ready for tomorrow's lunch or dinner. However, leftover rice, if not handled correctly, can become a surprising culprit in foodborne illness. The issue isn't the rice itself, but a sneaky little bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This bacterium produces spores that can survive the cooking process. So, even after you've boiled your rice to perfection, those spores can still be present. The real trouble starts if cooked rice is left standing at room temperature for too long. In that warm, moist environment, these surviving spores can multiply rapidly and produce toxins. Now, here's the critical part: these toxins can make you very ill, causing vomiting or diarrhea, and simply reheating the rice again won't destroy them. It's a common misconception that if you just heat it up enough, any bacteria will be killed. While reheating can kill the active bacteria, it often doesn't neutralize the toxins they've already produced. So, how can we enjoy our rice safely and still be practical? The key lies in rapid cooling and proper storage. As soon as your rice is cooked, if you're not going to eat it all immediately, get it into the fridge as quickly as possible. Ideally, this should be within 1 hour of cooking. Don't leave it on the counter to cool down for ages. To speed up the cooling process, you can spread the rice out thinly on a clean tray or plate, or divide it into smaller, shallow containers. This increases the surface area, allowing the heat to escape quickly. Once it's cool, pop it straight into the refrigerator. When you do come to reheat it, make sure it's steaming hot all the way through. You should only ever reheat rice once. That's a golden rule: cook once, reheat once. And then if there's any left, it's best to discard it. Think about that delicious leftover chicken fried rice you planned. If the rice was left out too long after its initial cooking, then put in the fridge, and then only partially reheated the next day, you're creating the perfect conditions for those toxins to thrive. It's a silent process. You won't see or smell anything wrong, but your body will certainly feel it later. For us, as we age, our immune systems might not be as robust as they once were, making us more susceptible to the effects of these toxins. A little bit of caution goes a long way in preventing those unpleasant bouts of sickness. Consider cooking just enough rice for your meal, or if you make a larger batch, make sure you portion it out and chill it very quickly, only reheating the exact amount you need. Now that we've shed light on how to handle leftover rice safely, let's turn our attention to another very common meal item that often makes an appearance as a reheated leftover cooked meats, especially poultry like chicken. From our beloved rice, let's move on to cooked meats, particularly chicken. Chicken is a fantastic source of lean protein and incredibly versatile. We often roast a whole chicken or cook a large batch of chicken breast to use throughout the week in sandwiches, salads, or quick stir-fries. It's the ultimate convenient protein. Isn't it, however? Reheating chicken incorrectly can pose significant health risks, like rice. The primary concern with chicken is bacterial growth, specifically Salmonella or Campylobacter. If it cools too slowly or isn't reheated thoroughly enough, when you cook chicken, you kill off most of these harmful bacteria. But if the cooked chicken is then allowed to sit at room temperature, any surviving bacteria, or new ones that contaminate the surface, can multiply rapidly. This is especially true if the chicken pieces are large and cool slowly in the middle, beyond bacteria. Reheating chicken can also alter its protein structure. Chicken protein is quite delicate, and when it's reheated, particularly multiple times or unevenly, these proteins can denature or break down in a way that makes them harder for our bodies to digest. This can lead to digestive upset, bloating, and discomfort, which is certainly not what we want after a meal. To safely reheat chicken, there are a few simple but crucial steps. First, ensure that your chicken is cooled and refrigerated as quickly as possible after its initial cooking. Again, within an hour. Divide larger portions into smaller, shallow containers to speed up cooling. When you're ready to reheat, the absolute most important thing is to make sure it reaches an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 74 degrees Celsius all the way through. This means no cold spots. If you're reheating in a microwave, make sure to stir the dish halfway through or rearrange the chicken pieces to ensure even heating. For larger pieces, an oven or stovetop might be a better choice to guarantee thorough heating. And just like with rice, try to only reheat chicken once. If you've got a big roast chicken from Sunday dinner, it's best to portion out what you intend to eat cold in sandwiches or salads, and only reheat the amount you plan to consume immediately. Avoid reheating and reheating the same piece of chicken multiple times. Imagine that delicious leftover chicken pie. If the chicken in that pie was already from a reheated batch, you're increasing the risk. For us, maintaining good digestive health is so important, and ensuring our protein sources are properly prepared and reheated is a big part of that. Next, let's turn our attention to a truly versatile and comforting vegetable that's a cornerstone of many hearty meals. Especially comforting on a chilly evening, the humble potato. Potatoes are incredible. Aren't they? Baked, mashed, roasted, boiled. They feature in so many of our favorite dishes. And often, we cook more than we need, saving the rest for tomorrow's lunch or a quick snack. But just like rice, cooked potatoes can harbor a hidden danger if not handled correctly. The main concern here is a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum, which is responsible for botulism, a serious and potentially fatal form of food poisoning, while raw potatoes are generally safe. And cooking kills most bacteria. The spores of Clostridium botulinum can survive cooking. The tricky part is that these spores thrive in low-oxygen environments. And when cooked potatoes are wrapped tightly in foil or plastic wrap, or stored in airtight containers at room temperature, they create the perfect anaerobic conditions for these spores to grow and produce a toxin. This toxin is incredibly potent, and unlike the bacteria themselves, reheating won't destroy the toxin once it's formed. You won't be able to see, smell, or taste this toxin, making it particularly insidious. Think about a baked potato wrapped in foil that you leave on the counter overnight. It might seem harmless, but inside that cozy foil, an invisible hazard could be brewing. So, how do we enjoy our potatoes safely? The most important rule is to cool cooked potatoes rapidly and store them properly. If you bake a potato, unwrap it immediately after cooking to allow the steam and heat to escape. Don't leave it wrapped up to cool slowly on the counter. If you've boiled or mashed potatoes, spread them out to cool quickly before refrigerating. Just like with rice and chicken, Get them into the fridge within an hour. Once cooled, store them in shallow, uncovered containers in the refrigerator for a short period, perhaps a day or two. When you reheat potatoes, ensure they are heated thoroughly all the way through. However, given the serious nature of the botulism toxin, many food safety experts recommend being extra cautious with potatoes. If you're unsure how long a cooked potato has been left at room temperature, it's often safer to simply discard it. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially when dealing with such a potent toxin. For us, our bodies might be less equipped to fight off severe foodborne illnesses, making this a particularly important habit to adopt. It's surprising, isn't it? How something as simple as a potato can hold such a hidden risk if not handled just right. And speaking of hidden risks, our next food item often gets a pass, but it too can turn treacherous when reheated leafy green vegetables. Like spinach. Spinach is a powerhouse of nutrients, packed with vitamins and minerals, and we're often encouraged to eat more of it. It's so easy to wilt a big batch for dinner, perhaps with a little garlic and olive oil, and think, I'll just save some for tomorrow. However, leafy greens like spinach, beetroots, and even celery contain high levels of nitrates. Nitrates are naturally occurring compounds, and in their raw form, they're generally harmless. The problem arises when these nitrate-rich vegetables are cooked and then reheated, especially if they've been stored improperly or allowed to cool slowly. The nitrates can convert into nitrites. While nitrites themselves aren't inherently dangerous in small amounts, they can, under certain conditions within our bodies, further convert into nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are known to be carcinogenic, meaning they could potentially increase the risk of certain cancers over time. It's not an immediate poisoning like some bacterial toxins, but a longer-term concern that accumulates with repeated exposure. Think about that creamy spinach you made with dinner. If you left it on the counter for hours before refrigerating it, or if you plan to reheat it multiple times over a few days, you could be setting the stage for these chemical changes to occur. To minimize this risk, the best approach for leafy greens is to consume them fresh after cooking. If you do cook a larger batch, cool them down very quickly and refrigerate them promptly. When reheating, it's best to do so only once and heat them very quickly and thoroughly. Some experts even recommend avoiding reheating leafy greens altogether, particularly for infants and young children, whose digestive systems are more sensitive. For us, as adults, especially those over 60, it's about being mindful. If you're making a dish that includes spinach, try to cook only the amount of spinach you intend to eat in that sitting. For example, if you're adding spinach to a soup or a curry, only add it right at the end of the cooking process, just until it wilts. If you plan to save and reheat the rest of the soup, that way, the spinach itself is cooked for a minimal time and reheated only once within the larger dish. It's a subtle shift in habit, but one that can help reduce exposure to these potentially harmful compounds. From the vibrant greens of spinach, we move to a food item that adds a wonderful earthy depth to many dishes, but whose delicate nature makes it particularly vulnerable to reheating pitfalls: mushrooms. Mushrooms are wonderful. They bring such a unique flavor and texture to our meals, whether in a creamy sauce, a hearty stir-fry, or a comforting soup. But like our other foods, they too have a delicate side when it comes to reheating. The proteins in mushrooms are quite complex and delicate. When you cook mushrooms initially, these proteins begin to break down, which is what gives them their delicious texture and releases their flavors. However, when you then cool them down and reheat them, especially if done slowly or multiple times, these proteins can further degrade in a way that makes them difficult for our digestive system to process. This can lead to digestive upset, bloating, and discomfort. In some cases, the breakdown of these proteins can even lead to the formation of compounds that are not ideal for our bodies, potentially causing a mild toxic reaction. You won't usually see or smell a problem, but your gut might certainly feel it. Think of that lovely mushroom sauce you made for pasta, or the leftover mushrooms from a stir-fry. While it might seem convenient to save and reheat them, you could be setting yourself up for an unpleasant digestive experience. The best way to enjoy mushrooms is to cook them fresh and eat them immediately. If you do have cooked mushrooms left over, it's crucial to cool them rapidly and get them into the refrigerator without delay. When it comes to reheating, this is where the caution really comes in. If mushrooms are part of a larger dish, like a stew or a casserole, and they make up only a small component, and the entire dish is reheated thoroughly to a very high temperature, the risk is somewhat mitigated. However, reheating standalone mushrooms, or a dish where mushrooms are the main ingredient, is generally discouraged. If you absolutely must reheat them, do so only once and ensure they are piping hot all the way through. But honestly, the safest and healthiest option for mushrooms is to prepare just enough for your meal. If you have fresh mushrooms left over, consider using them in a cold salad the next day, rather than reheating them. For us, maintaining good gut health becomes even more important as we get older, and avoiding foods that can cause digestive distress is a simple way to support our overall well-being. So, there we have it. Our 5 surprising foods that can turn from nourishing to potentially problematic when reheated: rice, cooked meats like chicken, potatoes, leafy greens such as spinach, and mushrooms. Each one, when not handled with care, carries its own unique set of risks that can impact our health. Now, I know this might feel a bit overwhelming, perhaps even a little scary, especially if reheating leftovers has been a lifelong habit. But please, don't feel discouraged or that you have to become a kitchen chemist overnight. The goal here isn't to scare you away from your leftovers entirely, but to empower you with knowledge. Small, mindful changes in how we prepare, store, and reheat our food can make a truly significant difference in our daily well-being and long-term health. The crucial tip I promised at the beginning, the one that might surprise you, isn't some complex scientific breakthrough. It's the profound impact of simple, consistent habits. Always aim for rapid cooling of cooked food. Store it promptly and properly in the refrigerator, and reheat it thoroughly and only once. That's the golden rule. It sounds so straightforward, yet it's a habit often overlooked in our busy lives, and it holds the key to dramatically reducing your risk of foodborne illness. Think about it this way: instead of seeing leftovers as a potential problem, view them as an opportunity to practice these simple, health-protecting habits. Plan your meals with slightly smaller portions if you know you won't consume the entire batch. If you do cook more, immediately portion out what you want to save into shallow containers and get them into the fridge within that critical 1-hour window. Your refrigerator is your best friend here. It slows down the growth of those invisible nasties. And when it's time to reheat, make sure it's steaming hot, not just warm. Use your eyes, your nose, and even a food thermometer if you feel unsure, especially with meats. Remember, these practices aren't about being overly cautious. They're about being smart stewards of our health. As we age, our bodies sometimes need a little extra support, and preventing preventable illnesses frees up our energy for all the wonderful things life has to offer. This knowledge gives you control, allowing you to enjoy your food with confidence and peace of mind. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a tummy upset after reheating one of these foods? Or do you have any clever tricks for managing leftovers safely that you'd like to share? Your experiences and tips are so valuable to this wonderful community we're building here. Please, share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us reach more people who can benefit from these insights and empowers us to create more valuable content for you. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you more practical, easy-to-understand advice to help you live your healthiest, happiest life at every age, covering everything from nutrition and sleep to staying sharp and active. Remember, every day is an opportunity to make choices that nourish your body and mind. It's about being informed, being prepared, and treating yourself with the care and respect you deserve. You've earned this wisdom, and now you can put it into practice. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep living your best life, vibrant and healthy. No matter your age,